The restaurant was almost closing. You know that last hour, when the lights feel too bright, the air smells like spilled coffee and tired perfume, and everyone just wants to go home? That was tonight. Layla was wiping table 14. Her hands were shaking a little, not because of the work, because she still had to figure out how to pay for her mother's medicine before morning. Then the door opened. You could hear the shoes first, heavy, confident, expensive. Thud, thud, thud. The kind of walk that said, "I don't wait. You wait for me." 3 men walked in wearing suits that cost more than Layla made in 4 months. One of them didn't bother looking around. He just sat, dropped his watch and his phone on the table like he owned the place. That was Adrian Cole. People in this city whispered about his name. Billion-dollar contracts, private jets. Fired a whole team in one afternoon because they didn't impress him. That guy. Layla didn't know all that. She just saw another late customer. "Hi. Welcome. We're closing soon, but I can still." He lifted his hand without looking at her. "Stop." That one word? It wasn't loud, but it cut. His 2 friends laughed under their breath. Layla froze there with her notepad against her apron. Her heart was beating hard now. You ever feel your face get warm, like the heat is crawling up your neck? That. Adrian finally looked up at her. Calm, cold, like he was bored already. "I travel all over the world," he said, leaning back in his chair. "And I have a rule. If you want my table, you serve me in my language." "Tonight," he smiled. "My language is Arabic." The other men laughed louder. Layla blinked. "Sir, I can." "No, no," he said, waving a finger. "This is fun. Let's make it interesting." Then he did something that made the entire room pause. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a black card, put it on the table, then took out a pen and grabbed a napkin. He wrote a number, slowly, dramatically, like he'd done this before. He turned the napkin so she could see. $1 million. 1 million. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. The number didn't look real. It looked like a joke from a movie. "If you can greet me properly in Arabic," Adrian said softly, "and take my order in perfect Arabic, I'll wire you $1 million tonight. If you can't..." He leaned forward. His smile never touched his eyes. "You bring us water and stay silent." Layla heard a plate drop behind her in the kitchen. Her manager, Luis, was already watching from the bar with this panicked, "Please don't make problems" face. One of Adrian's friends whispered, just loud enough for her to hear, "Come on, sweetheart. Smile. Think of your little tip." Layla swallowed. In that moment, she wasn't in the restaurant anymore. She was 6 years old again, legs swinging off a chair way too big for her, listening to her father speak Arabic in the tiny kitchen of their old apartment. The way his voice would soften when he said her name. The way her mother would laugh and correct his grammar, pretending to be strict. Her father was gone now. Her mother was in bed at home, coughing so hard sometimes she couldn't breathe. Rent was 3 weeks late. Layla looked at the number. Then she looked at Adrian. And she did something that made even the ice machine stop humming. She smiled. A small smile. Calm. Controlled. Dangerous. She stepped closer to the table, placed her hand gently on the back of the chair like she belonged there, and said in flawless, warm Arabic,
مساء الخير سيدي. اسمي ليل، وسأكون في خدمتك الليلة. هل تفضل أن أبدأ بالماء البارد أم بشيء دافئ للشاي؟
Adrian's smile vanished. The room went silent, and then Layla leaned in, just a little, and whispered something in his ear in Arabic that made his jaw tighten and his fingers curl on the table. We'll come back to what she said in a minute, because that was the moment everything changed. What did she tell him that wiped the smile off a billionaire's face in 5 seconds? Adrian didn't speak for a full 3 seconds. That doesn't sound long, but trust me, when a man like that goes quiet, everyone notices. His friends were looking at each other like, wait, what just happened? Layla stayed steady. Her posture was almost elegant now. Shoulders relaxed. Chin up. Voice low and professional. She repeated again in Arabic slowly, clearly,
لدينا حساء العدس دافئ ومريح. يساعد على الحلق والتعب. أنصح به. وبعدها شريحة لحم متوسطة النضج. هل يناسبك، سيدي؟
Her accent wasn't tourist Arabic. It wasn't, I learned this on an app. It was soft, rooted, alive. And the part she had whispered in his ear, she had said, "If this is a game, I'll play. But I am not your joke." Adrian cleared his throat. "You speak Arabic," he muttered. Layla tilted her head. "You said that was your language tonight." "I'm only doing my job, sir." Now his friends weren't laughing. Luis, the manager, rushed over, fake smile on his face, fake calm in his voice. You know that voice people use when they're trying to impress a rich customer and control the problem at the same time? "Hey, gentlemen. Everything good here? Layla, I can take over this table if..." Adrian lifted his hand again. "No, I want her." That made something ugly twist in Luis's face. He nodded and stepped back, but you could feel the tension now. You could feel the line. Layla wrote down the order. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. As she turned to go, Adrian said, almost casually, "And the money still stands." Layla stopped walking. "I don't need your money," she said. The table exploded in quiet disbelief. Luis almost dropped a glass. "You don't say that to a billionaire. Not in this city. Not when you're wearing a name tag and standing under a flickering ceiling light that hasn't been replaced in 6 months." But here's the part no one in that room knew. Layla had already had money once. Before this diner, before the double shifts, before the medical bills, before the apartment with peeling paint and neighbors who fought loud enough to shake the hallway. Layla had a father who owned a tiny little cafe. Not fancy, not perfect. One wobbly table, broken radio, smell of cumin and mint and fresh bread. But it was theirs. Her father taught her every table matters. Not customers. People. You feed people. He taught her to switch languages like switching lights. Arabic for comfort. English for paperwork. Spanish for neighbors. Kindness in all three. He told her, respect is a language. If someone refuses to speak it, you don't serve them. You teach them. He died when she was 16. Adrian watched her now like she was suddenly not a waitress, but a problem he didn't know how to solve. His voice dropped. "What did you call me? When you greeted me, what did that mean?" Layla met his eyes. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. "I called you Sidi. It means sir. But in my father's house, Sidi wasn't just a word. You had to earn it." Adrian leaned back. For the first time tonight, he didn't look untouchable. He looked human, a little pale, a little tired. "Bring the soup," he said quietly. Layla nodded and walked away. But here's the part that will matter later. When she walked to the kitchen window to call the order, she didn't notice something. Adrian was watching her hands. He had noticed the small burn mark on her wrist. Fresh, red. The kind you get when the kitchen is understaffed and you're doing too much alone. For one flicker of a second, something like guilt crossed his face. A flicker. Then it was gone. But it was there. That flicker, that tiny weakness, that's how the wall started to crack. But this story isn't really about the restaurant. It's about what happened after Adrian left. And why Layla ended up in his office the next morning with security blocking the door. Dinner ended quietly. No more loud jokes. No more shouting. No more sweetheart. Adrian ate in silence like a man replaying an old memory in his head. His friends checked their phones and didn't talk much. The air felt different, heavier. You could almost hear the tension settle like dust. When Layla brought the bill, Adrian didn't argue. He didn't pretend to forget. He just signed. But he didn't take the napkin with $1 million written on it. He left it there. He also left something else. Layla was bussing their table when she saw it. A slim black briefcase tucked under the booth. She called out, "Sir? Excuse me, sir." But they were already outside. She jogged past table 12, past the register, through the glass door. Cold air slapped her face. The night smelled like rain and car exhaust. Streetlights hummed. "Sir, you forgot." They were already stepping into a black car waiting at the curb. Not just a car. The kind with a driver. Layla held up the briefcase. Adrian turned. For the first time, there was no audience. No performance. No friends. Just him and her and the parking lot. And up close, he looked tired. Not "I worked late" tired. "I haven't slept in 3 days because everything is falling apart and no one can know" tired. His tie was a little loose now. His jaw looked tight, like he'd been clenching it for hours. His eyes weren't sharp anymore. They were quiet. He didn't reach for the briefcase. He said under his breath, Of course this would happen tonight." Layla frowned. "You okay?" That surprised him. Like no one had asked him that in a long time. He opened his mouth, then shut it again. Then, after a moment, he motioned her closer. Not because of the bag. Because of privacy. "Get in," he told the driver. "Give me a minute." The driver nodded and stepped away. Now it was just Adrian and Layla standing by the car in the dull yellow light, the street almost empty. You could hear distant traffic. Somewhere, a siren. He rubbed his face and said quietly, "They're going to vote me out tomorrow." Layla blinked. "Vote you out of what?" "My own company." He let out a short, angry laugh. "They say I'm bad for the image. Aggressive with staff. Cold. Unapproachable. Investors are nervous. They want me gone before the press turns on us." Layla swallowed. The way he said aggressive with staff, she knew exactly what that meant. "So tonight," he continued, "they told me I need to prove I can talk to ordinary people with respect. Do you believe that? They actually said that." Layla stared at him. "Wait, is that why he came in? To perform respect?" Adrian shook his head. "But I don't know how. I hire people to know how. And then you walk up and you talk to me like I'm not a trophy. Like I'm not a monster either. You just..." He gestured toward her, frustrated. "Talk to me." Layla's first instinct was anger. The second was something else. Pity. Because suddenly she saw it. Under all that armor and money, he was just a man who didn't know how to be human in front of other humans anymore. She held out the briefcase. "You should keep this close. It looks important." He finally took it. Their fingers touched for a second. His hand was ice cold. "Layla," he said quietly. She hadn't told him her name. She froze. He noticed. "Name tag," he said softly. "Oh." There was a pause. One of those slow, shaky silences that feel like a bridge forming. Then he said, almost like a question, "Come to my office tomorrow, 9 a.m. I want you to say to them what you said to me." Layla laughed. "I'm not doing corporate theater for you." "It's not theater," he said. "It's survival." She stared at him. Her rent, her mom's pills, her empty fridge, her own voice in her head. "I don't need your money." Maybe she didn't, but her mother did. Layla took a slow breath. The air felt colder now. "Where?" she asked. He slipped her a card. Just a black card with silver letters. No email. No phone. Just a building name. The kind of building people like her never walk into. She looked at it. Then she looked at him. 9 a.m., he repeated. And this time, he didn't sound like a man giving orders. He sounded like a man asking for help. The next morning, Layla walked into a glass tower full of people who thought she didn't belong there, and made them listen anyway. The lobby alone felt like another planet. Marble floors, echoing footsteps, air that smelled like cold steel and money, security guards in suits looking at her like, "Who let you in?" Layla walked with her chin up and her heart pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. When the elevator doors opened on the 32nd floor, it was a different world. Glass walls, conference table big enough to land a helicopter. City skylines stretched out like a movie. And at that table, 5 people in expensive suits, all older than her, all watching. Adrian was at the head of the table, different from last night, armor back on, tie perfect, voice sharp, but his eyes softened for half a second when he saw her. Just half a second. Just enough. "This is?" one board member asked, eyebrows raised. "This," Adrian said, "is the only person in the last 24 hours who told me the truth." That did not go over well. A woman in pearls leaned back in her chair. Adrian, we agreed we'd handle this professionally, not with... With what? Layla asked quietly. With people like me? The woman's mouth tightened. Layla sat down. No one invited her to. She just did. That alone sent a little shockwave through the room. Adrian nodded toward her. Tell them what you told me. Layla inhaled, exhaled. Her palms were damp. Then, in calm, natural Arabic, not rushed, not begging, just speaking, she said,
قلت لك إن الاحترام ليس عرضا. إنه لغة. يمكنك أن تشتري الطعام، يمكنك أن تشتري الوقت، لكن لا يمكنك أن تشتري الاحترام. يجب أن تتعلمه.
Silence. She let it hang there a moment. Let them feel it. Then she translated into English. I told him respect isn't a performance. It's a language. You can buy food. You can buy time. You cannot buy respect. You have to learn it. No one in that room was breathing. Layla continued, steady now. Stronger. Your problem isn't image. Your problem is that people like him, she tilted her head toward Adrian, walk into places where people work 2 jobs and bleed for rent, and act like they're doing us a favor by letting us serve them. Pearls crossed her arms. A man at the far end, gray hair, navy suit, expensive watch, scoffed. And I suppose you think you understand our international markets better than... Yes, Layla said simply. That stunned him. She turned to Adrian. Last night you said you travel the world. You don't. You land, you sign, you leave. That's not the world. That's an airport. Someone in the back actually choked on a laugh. Adrian's lip twitched like he almost smiled. Layla leaned forward, voice lowering. You want to expand to the Middle East, right? You want their money. You want their trust. But let me guess how your pitch sounds. We respect your culture. We value diversity. We're committed to inclusion. She shook her head. That's brochure language. People don't feel brochure language. They feel if you see them. Then she switched back to Arabic. And her tone changed. Softer. Warmer. Personal.
نحن لا نريد أن نبيعك شيئا. نريد أن نبني شيئا معك. نريد أن نفهم عائلتك، مدينتك، قصتك. إذا لم يربح هذا شرفك، فلا يستحق أموالك.
She looked at them and translated. We don't want to sell you something. We want to build something with you. We want to understand your family, your city, your story. If this does not earn your honor, then it does not deserve your money. Now it was quiet, but not hostile quiet. Listening quiet. Do you feel that shift? Adrian felt it. He sat up a little taller. Say it again, he said, his voice low. In Arabic. Layla repeated the Arabic line. One of the board members whispered. We could open in Doha with that angle, that framing alone. We've been trying to crack that tone for months. The woman in pearls looked annoyed, but also interested. Adrian turned, slow and deliberate. Gentlemen, ladies, tell me again why I'm bad for the brand. No one answered, because they couldn't. In that moment, control slid back across the table like a shadow returning to its owner. Adrian picked up a folder, signed something, and slid it across to Layla. She frowned. What's this? He said. That's either the best thing that's ever happened to you, or the scariest. What did he just offer her? A tip? Or a life she never thought she could have? Layla looked down at the paper. Her throat tightened. It wasn't a check. It wasn't hush money. It was a contract. Cultural and language liaison. She read out loud. Advisory role. Direct report to CEO. Salary. Her voice cracked. She blinked and tried again. Yearly. Not monthly. Yearly. It was more than she'd make in 5 years at the diner. Her hands started to tremble. I told you last night, she whispered. I don't need your money. Adrian shook his head. This isn't about buying you. This is about listening to you, full-time. She looked at him. For a moment, all the boardroom shine faded, and she saw him the way she'd seen him in the parking lot. Exhausted, scared, trying. He rubbed his jaw. They're not going to fire me. Not today. You did that. Not my lawyers. Not my PR team. You. Layla swallowed. Why me? Adrian held her gaze. Because you're the first person in a long time who didn't try to impress me. You tried to teach me. Her eyes burned. This is where most people would say yes immediately, right? Take the deal. Save your mother. Change your life. But Layla had one more rule. Her father's rule. So she asked the question that mattered. What about my mother? Adrian blinked. Your? She's sick, Layla said softly. She needs medication we can't afford. I can't sit in some glass office and pretend to build respect if the person who taught me respect can't breathe. Something moved in his face. Something honest. What does she need? He asked. Layla told him. Every detail. The cost. The name of the medication. The hospital visit that insurance wouldn't touch because it's not urgent enough. The way her mom tried to hide the coughing so Layla wouldn't worry. By the end, Adrian wasn't sitting anymore. He was standing. And his voice, when he spoke, wasn't corporate. It wasn't controlled. It was human. It's covered, he said. Layla stared. You can't just say that. You can't just. I'm not saying it. He cut in. I'm doing it. He turned to his assistant. When did his assistant even walk in? Layla hadn't noticed. That's how fast the room had shifted. Get her mother's information. Today. Full coverage. Private care. I don't care what it costs. Layla covered her mouth. Her eyes overflowed. Not the dramatic movie tear. The real kind. The silent, messy, shaking kind that comes from months of fear finally letting go. Adrian looked back at her. And Layla? She looked up. He took a breath. Then, and this part will live in her memory forever. He lowered his head the tiniest bit and said, in careful, broken Arabic,
شكرا سيدتي.
Thank you, my lady. He didn't say sweetheart. He didn't say girl. He didn't laugh. He respected her. In her language, Layla let out a shaky laugh. That was not perfect. I know, he said quietly. But I'm learning. The room exhaled. Deals were already forming. Plans already spinning. A new future already building itself around a girl who, yesterday, was just the waitress. Layla wiped her face, straightened her shoulders, and signed. When she did, it wasn't just ink on paper. It was a door opening. And just like that, the girl who brought water to table 14 became the woman who taught a billionaire how to speak. Not Arabic. Respect. Now I want to ask you something, and answer honestly in the comments. If someone tried to buy your respect with money, would you take it? Or would you make them earn it first?